I would say it was pretty fun using Neil Engine because we kind of saw the progress that we made also compared to some of the other teams, and I think we were by far the fastest team. Hi, I'm Toby, and I'm running a small YouTube channel called Live Studios where I teach about XR development. And only recently I've attended the MIT hackathon called Reality Hack, where we actually managed to win in our category of Augmented Intelligence, which was about combining artificial intelligence and XR with our team in Boston. The plan was to build a shared journaling experience targeted at parents. So parents who fear to lose connection with their children, and so they want to, find any way to spend time together because when children they get like maybe in the ages of 8, 9, 10, 11, and all of a sudden friends are more important than family. And so a lot of parents they fear to lose this connection. And so we wanted to build some kind of exciting tool that is also gamified but would also kind of address this issue, right? So, and then we kind of found this out by doing a brainstorming. And well, one important thing we figured out immediately is that we wanted to have it be cross-platform, so it should be accessible via a iPad or some kind of phone, so that the parents who are maybe a bit older and they don't really are comfortable using an XR headset, they can participate. And then the children who are super excited about this new XR technology can at the same time use the XR headset, right? And so we needed something that can be done cross-platform. That's also very accessible. So it was quite clear that we wanted to use some kind of WebXR, and for that, obviously, Needle is very much suited. And the other point was we also wanted to use generative AI because we figured out that as we already chose the category of augmented intelligence, so combining AI and XR, that these two cutting edge technologies combined will kind of give us the most leverage to build something that's really cool and really innovative. And as we are leveraging WebXR with Needle, and Needle provides you with kind of the standard structure that you would also have if you would build some kind of React application, for example, it was very easy to integrate external API services. So, for example, we used OpenAI, we used other AI tools as well. And this was pretty easy as we didn't had, we could just use the standard web APIs to, for example, send a prompt and get a response back.
Today I drove a red car. I got ready in front of my mirror. I wore my winter boots in the snow.
So yeah, so I've been doing a lot of research. I've been testing many tools that are there on the web, but I always found a major caveat that didn't let me to actually use this tool for my real projects. For example, some of the editors were web only, right? So you had to be online all the time and you couldn't use your IDE. For example, I'm using WebStorm or Visual Studio Code, and you just weren't able to do that. For some, the performance was not that great. And then as I'm already used to working with Unity and I also have like a bunch of assets that I already bought on the asset store, it would be very cumbersome to just export those assets into a whole new editor and use them there. So there was no asset store basically. And there was also a major lack of, well, good documentation or samples or anything, so it was quite hard to get started. And each tool I used, it was just one major thing that really led me not using it in the end. And then I discovered Needle, which pretty much addressed all of these issues I had. Could use Unity, which I was already used to. I could use all the 3D objects, so the assets that I've already bought and basically collected over the years. I could use the IDE that I liked, and there were so many pre-made components, samples, and such a well-made documentation that it felt really easy to get started, and it was not like learning or starting with a whole new tool where you have to do everything from scratch again. But it really felt like building upon the knowledge that I already had and basically getting started really fast. Yeah, but I got started. I read through all the documentation and tried some of the examples, and basically that was so convincing that I thought this will be a great tool to use at a hackathon because it allows you to get started really quickly, to build prototypes really quickly, and that's what you need when you are time constrained in such an event. So, for example, one thing we did is that one person would just wear the headset and kind of exploring the world we would build and trying things out, while others could then move things around and this person could give some feedback because when you are in XR, things, the proportions, they look a little different than if you are on the standard screen. And so this person who was within the XR headset could say, "Oh, that's too big," or "That's too bright," or maybe the colors are too bright, for example. And then someone else could just do some basically live adjustments, and it would only take a couple of seconds or even less than that until the changes were actually present within the headset. So these kind of iteration cycles, which are so important for developers, some of the, I would say, one of the most important attributes, they were very short, and that was extremely helpful also under, time pressure as well. And so it's always fun if things work, right? And if you kind of have also tools to make things work, if you have templates or pre-made components. And we had that with Needle Engine. You always have a lot of components that you can already use to, for example, create interaction with your objects. And that was pretty fun to see how kind of you think something and you quickly research how to do it, then you maybe drop a few components, you write a few lines of code, and it's kind of working. That's like the best case scenario, and we had that with using Needle Engine.